Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the first ever BPM, where the bear, the photographer, and the musician come together to talk to you about the music industry. Today, on our first episode, we're kind of just going to do a basic introductory of each other. We're kind of going to go over a little bit about what we're going to do with this whole show setup, caboodle, cabanger, and kind of just start the waters with what we're trying to go for. So with that being said, I'll let everybody introduce each other. To my left, we have the photographer.
Hi, I'm Jan. I'm a photographer, and I've been in the music scene here in the Pacific Northwest for about 2 years now.
How long have you been doing photography?
Better part of 2 decades at this point.
2 decades at this point. Okay. And you are originally from the Netherlands?
I am. That explains the horrible accent.
Ah, yes, yes. Okay. So, and then to my right, we've got the musician.
Hey, my name's Trevor. I've been in the Pacific Northwest music scene and all around for probably the last 10 years. I play drums by trade, but currently I'm the vocalist of Cold Hearts, and yeah, pretty much just do that.
And right in the middle, we have the bear himself.
The bear that cares. I am Papa Bear, Blaine. So more or less what I am is I am a musician of about 17, 18 years now. And as of the last, what are we at, 4 years? Going on 5? Yeah, about 5 years, or going on 5 years. I've been a promoter for the Kennewick, Washington scene. I've also helped out in other areas with places in like Richland, Pendleton, Spokane, stuff of that nature, trying to help people get their gear up to par, how they can start getting their stuff going as far as setting up a venue, working with musicians, just trying to overall help the entire music scene. Like I said, originally I'm a musician, so it's one of those things where I got tired of seeing how the industry was going, so I figured, well, shit, someone's got to step up and see what we can do to make it a little bit better, and that's what I do now. So we put on live shows and just try to help bands get through it all.
I have to say, you're the only promoter of small shows who immediately offered to pay me for photos.
Yay!
And
Because I believe in paying for people's art and creativity.
yeah, no,
It's refreshing.
It is.
he's been one of my favorite promoters to work with, and I've worked with probably over 100 at this point. Very honest.
Okay, this isn't praise Papa Bear moment.
It's praise Papa Bear moment.
So
Get there.
As we were saying, we wanted to kind of just give you a little heads up as to who we are. We're going to kind of go a little bit more in depth with some of this stuff, not get too far back into like the histories, but like what we can currently do and what we use for our gear, things of that nature. But we wanted to go over like what the premise of this show is going to be. So the big thing to kind of go over is, what is BPM? Well, the BPM stands for the bear, the photographer, and the musician. And
Brutal
what we do,
Pandemic Mermaids.
it does stand for Brutal Pandemic Mermaids. But and just be aware, if you're not watching episode 1, every episode we're going to change what BPM stands for. So pay attention, because it's going to be fun. This is the only time you get to be inside the joke. So pretty much what the goal is that we want to sit down and we want to discuss different things. So we sat down one night at a bar and we were just chatting. We were kind of going over things like how people find new music, advice for bands for their performance, showmanship, what kind of things they can do to be more photographic and for their music videos, things of that nature. How if you're not really a musician but you wanted to get into like music photography for venues and stuff like that, how you would get into that, home gear versus tour gear. How to build a good tour route, things of that nature. We're kind of going to go through a huge gamut of everything. But what makes this show a little bit more special than what normally goes on with these kind of videos and podcasts and things of that nature is that we have 3 different aspects of that playing field. So when we were sitting down and discussing this stuff at the bar, I started realizing quickly that it's like what I might have a strong opinion on, these two are the complete opposite ends of the spectrum. And when they were starting to explain why they were on the opposite ends of that spectrum, it's like, oh, when you actually start thinking about, okay, what works for the promoter doesn't always work for the photographer. So like if we wanted to set up like, the crazy cool lights and strobes and things of that nature, it turns out that completely destroys a photographer from being able to get good shots for musicians. So it was good to sit down and kind of have those conversations. And I realized that it's like, wow, there's really not many people online that actually discuss it from 3 different facets. And one of the things we want to do in this is actually have debates about, no, this is why this works for me, but then I want to hear their opinions as well on why it doesn't work for them. vice versa all around. So that's kind of the premise of this show, is we're going to go over different topics. Now, not every time is, Jan going to be able to sit here and tell me, oh yeah, touring has to hurt photography. He may not have a whole lot of input on that one, but regardless, he is really into the music scene, and he does still have the ability to put opinions towards things or ask questions. And that's fine too, because you might be asking questions at home, and that might be the question that you're looking for to have answered. It's like, why did you do it that way? Okay, well, here, let me explain it and break it down for you. And then you'll have that information as well.
Having photographed touring bands, I've seen some wild stuff, and I'd love to get your guys' take on some of the stuff that I've seen.
Oh, totally, yeah. Totally. No, totally.
And then from playing shows, I've dealt with crappy promoters and photographers. And so, it's like the other complete, like you were saying, the other opposite end of the spectrum. You're not just going to get one view.
Mm-hmm. And that's pretty much what the goal of this show is. Obviously, this is the opening episode, so we're not going to get too far into those topics on this one. On this one, the few things that we want to go over for this round are, what each of us does. Obviously, we kind of explain that. I'd like Jan to be able to explain what kind of camera gear he actually uses. I'd like Trevor to be able to explain what kind of drum kits he uses, things of that nature. And then if he has any preferences towards his music gear, I would like to let you guys kind of know what's going on with what kind of gear I use for shows, things of that nature. We're not going to dive too deep into the technical aspects of it, but we're kind of just letting you know where we're at with what gear we have. To kind of give you what our musical tastes and interests are, so that way you guys get an idea of what it is that we're kind of most absorbed into when it comes to it. Now, granted, I can easily say that all of us really like a very wide spectrum of music. Me alone, I can sit here and tell you country, opera, Hispanic channel. I can go down the rabbit hole, but then Jan being from the Netherlands, he knows a ton of artists that we would never even know about unless you really dug.
Shit is my shit.
Yeah. So, but regardless, shit, you still know a lot of bands that are overseas that are fantastic that none of us have ever heard of before because we're not from there.
Yeah.
So
every time we hop in Jan's car and he plays a random band, I'm like, my God, these guys have amazing guitars or screams or hurdy-gurdies.
But yeah, just kind of our general basis and views of the music scene and things of that nature. So with that, I'm going to stop talking for a moment. Jan, would you like to explain to us what kind of gear you use as far as your photography setup?
Yeah, so when I go and I shoot shows, I bring my camera, I bring a couple of lenses. I shoot a full frame DSLR. It's a Nikon. It's got the battery grip on it. Really, the reason I have the battery grip on it for shows is because it gives me a vertical shutter button, so I can still keep my elbows out and protect myself from a mosh pit.
We'll talk about that later.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we know what's happened to your stuff in a mosh pit before.
It wasn't even a mosh pit.
No, it wasn't.
But no, so I use one long lens.
Sorry to interrupt. Just because I had that little cough from the bubbles in my throat. I do want to state for the record too, yes, this is during the pandemic. Yes, we actually live together. So before anybody freaks out, why are these guys not 6 feet apart? Why are they not wearing face masks? We live together. We're contaminated to each other, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah. We have used Trevor as a face mask for the last 2 months.
This is probably true. That being said, go ahead and continue, Jan. I'm sorry for interrupting you.
It's so good.
We are being safe.
So the main things that I bring to shows is I bring my camera. Obviously, I bring it with the extra grip on there just to have a little more room for my elbows. I bring 2 lenses. Typically, I either have a bag that I can sling around the front so I can get the lenses in and out, or if it's a show where I trust either the promoter, the bar staff, the light and sound guys, I leave my bag with them and I just set the lenses out, ready to go. I bring a long lens so I can get nice compressed shots from the back, nice little zoomed in detail shots, or if there's somebody getting dragged into a mosh pit and I want a picture of that without getting into the mosh pit. Hi, Trevor. I can do that safely. The other thing is wide angles. I love getting some wide angles of bands when I'm close to them, getting the whole band, the whole stage in the shot, really showing the venue off a little more. And, sometimes there's venues that I've shot where the lighting just ain't all that great. And getting a bright shot in there is difficult even during, proper stage lighting. So
you mean kind of like this dark den of a room?
Yeah, kind of like this dark den of a room, but we have some extra lights here too. But I bring an extra flash. Sometimes I've mounted them on top of your PA systems before, and I just like fire them into the ceiling and let the light bounce down. It works.
There you go.
Yeah, no, I liked when you did that, when you taped them to the speakers. That was a pretty good idea. I would have never thought of that.
You come up with some really creative solutions in tight spaces sometimes.
Yeah.
I would imagine. Okay. That all you want to talk about with your gear as far as that?
Really, as far as my gear is concerned, that's all I do. I come home, I load it into Lightroom, I pick my favorites, I get rid of the rest eventually. But no, really, the big thing is just that. It's you bring a couple of lenses, you want to get long angles, wide angles. If you want to go for the budget option, I know one of my first shows I shot for you on my previous camera, I just brought like a little simple 50 mil. It's cheap, it gets the job done, and it let me take some pretty dope photos.
All right. Well, cool. With that being said, I'm going to transfer over now to Trevor. Really, as far as microphones, I don't know if you really haven't really been much of an aficionado of microphones. I've kind of been working on that.
For live, I like my Samsons, but I'm probably going to be upgrading to the Sennheiser, the mid-level one that you showed me, just because I like the wire. Like, after using your wireless and going back to a wired mic, like you said, the freedom is amazing on a wireless mic. And just the capability of like getting in the crowd and going places you would not be able to normally go with a wired mic. So yeah, you definitely sold me on that. I'm definitely going to be picking one up. As far as drums, I haven't really played live drums in a few years, but my personal drum set, pretty vintage. It's a Rogers 1986 R390. I bought it like 7 years ago. I've had it ever since, but I just recently put a ton of money into like cymbals, new heads. I refinished it, restained it all the way down to the bare wood. Live for Cold Hearts, we use a Pearl Vision with all Sabians and Zildjians all the way around. Nothing too fancy or out of the box, except for the shells. And yeah, pretty much we have a home kit and a live kit. The live kit gets abused, the home kit does not.
There you go. Anything else you want to discuss about your gear or anything of that nature?
You have any microphones you use at home?
Yeah, I use this one. I just got a 7B, like out for the podcast, obviously, but for home vocal recordings, and Blaine's letting me use one of his audio interfaces, so I'm able to do some, pretty decent home recordings. Like this morning, I was screaming along to the Acacia Strain and Traders, and then I think I did, what was another song I did? I can't remember, but yeah, no, the 7B is staple for home recording. It's an amazing mic. It's probably one of the best ones I put my hands on. All the Cold Hearts albums, except for the first one, have been recorded on a 7B. So, yeah, that's pretty much it.
Nice. So, yeah, I'm not really sure which gear to talk about from my end. I mean, as a musician, I'm a singer.
What brand gaffer tape do you prefer?
Yeah, what brand gaffer tape do you prefer?
You fuck off.
The one roll that doesn't cost $100?
Yeah, no, usually they're about 40 something a pop for the 2-inch wides or the 3-inch wides. So, I mean, just depends on how wide of a strip that I need, but anything over a 3-inch is just kind of wasteful at that point. Man, as far as my microphones go, I'm a Sennheiser fan through and through. I like the 935s. I like all sorts of types for the Sennheiser. I just think that they get a warmth and a glow out of them that you don't get out of the Shure. Shure's are great for the SM58 specifically, is great for being a hammer. You can drop the dang thing 20 million times and it's still going to work for you. I mean, they literally have videos of trucks running over them and still using them.
I've got to look that up.
Yeah, it's literally Shure brand. Like they take it outside, run it over with a truck, and then they just talk through the dang thing. And it's just like, okay.
I need to watch that.
Yeah. But honestly, I mean, I'm not rough on my microphones. So for me, it's not one of those things where I'm really stressed on it. I actually take a lot of pride in my microphones. I make sure to clean them regularly. I make sure to take care of them, put them in cases, make sure that they're not just rolling around and being thrown around. So Sennheiser has always been my top dog.
But do you take like durability into consideration, given that you have, bands you may not know that well using them?
So now if we're talking about my, if we're talking about just my basic stuff for when I'm doing the shows for promoting, yes, I still use Sennheiser, but I use like the cheapy equivalent of the SM58. The reason I do that though is still because even those ones hold up with a warmer tone. I like SM58s are good, but there's something that lacks in that mid-range that I just can never seem to get unless I'm using a Sennheiser. So I always go with them. I just like their products a lot. Can you run them over with a truck and still use them? Probably not. But I mean, I have I mean, they're $75 a pop, $80 a pop. So I mean, if somebody breaks them, it's kind of not the end of the world. Now, if it's somebody who's going out there and literally just throwing it on the ground, I'm gonna get upset.
Yeah.
But if it just breaks because it breaks, I mean, they usually will last me anywhere from 50 to 100 shows, depending on, who's being rough on them and who's not. I'm more afraid of mosh pitters than I am of the actual musicians, because if they put it on a stand and somebody moshes and they accidentally bump that thing over, that's most likely where it's going to break than the actual artists, because they know it's not their gear. They're not going to destroy it.
I have seen that before.
Oh yeah, I've seen it several times.
No, I'm not talking
my
about
shows.
a mosh into the mic. I'm talking about a vocalist throwing a mic down on purpose.
Yeah, no, it happens. And then I just kind of talk to them, and it's like, hey man, if you're going to perform with me again, please don't destroy my gear. I pay for that stuff. Nobody else is. As far as PA equipment goes, QSC, KW 153s and 181s, good subs, good tops, three ways.
Manageable.
And manageable. It's not overly complicated. I'm able to pick it up, take it, load it in every night, unload it every night, take it to different places. It doesn't feel like it kills everything. If I'm not using those, I'm using my Alto TS 115s and 112s. Those Altos are just something. I mean, 1,000 watts each. No. And I mean, I've literally had shows where we've blown the KW 153 and we had to swap it out for the Alto 115, and that thing held up like it was nothing. So that's always been fantastic.
I didn't even notice the difference in that, just so you know. I was at that show.
No.
I could not even tell the difference from left to right. I did not even know that you were using the Alto as a main.
Yeah, most people didn't realize it until they looked up and saw a speaker that was only like, a third of the size of the other one. Yeah, they're like, that's what's making that? Yeah, they're impressive little suckers.
Yeah, I'm constantly impressed by your Altos.
Yeah. I run Soundcraft digital boards, 24 channel. I love those. Soundcraft is just phenomenal. I do have the adapter card in the back, so that way I can throw a laptop on it and record live shows if I want to. But nobody really wants live shows, which is odd, because I think those are some of the best ones that you can have if done correctly. Past that, though, it's really just a standard basic kind of a setup. I mean, obviously, there's more that goes into it. There's lights, there's other setups, there's more mics, SM57s for miking up equipment, and all sorts of other things as well. It's not overly complicated, really. It's just kind of a basic setup. I do like QSC, though, because QSC just makes phenomenal gear. I mean, you want the audio quality. I don't care what it is, JBL, any of those guys. I have Behringer, especially Behringer. Behringer is great as far as audio equipment. They are not for like recording and plug-in and things of that nature. I do not suggest them as a speaker setup. I really do
for
not.
For Cold Hearts practice, I run 2 of the 112 500 watt Behringers, but that's for just Cold Hearts at home. I would never use them for like a live show or anything.
Right. I mean, for practice stuff, they're great, but for live performance, and I'm the one who has to produce the sound quality, there's no way in hell I'd use it.
I mean, this kind of ties into what interests me at shows, of course. But I know the little lights you have set up, the ones that rotate colors.
They're just basic pars. Yeah.
They work. Honestly, they work amazingly well for how small they are. They get a ton of output.
Yeah. I usually use about 6 of them. And that covers up the main basis. I did move up to the gig bar move. The gig bar move just adds more like strobe laser, things of that nature, but I can control it all from a remote switch or a foot pedal. So if I have to sit at the soundboard, I mean, it makes my life a hell of a lot easier. But yeah, those little pars, they go a long way when it comes to that stuff.
Those are DMX controlled too, right?
Yes, they can. Pretty much any light that you're buying through major sound companies like Sweetwater, Ted Brown, things like that. Musician's Friend, all of them are DMX for the most part.
I've never really looked into lights or messed with lights, so that's all news to me.
Oh, it's a whole new ball game of playing field, and that's why I'm not going into it right now.
Yeah. I've got some grievances when it comes to lights. Let's not.
Right. I do use a digital snake as well, stage box. So that makes things a little bit easier. But yeah, overall, that's pretty much all I need to talk about with my gear.
Actually, there's one piece of gear that you have that's specially made for you that I want to talk about. That's just a ton of fun for me as a photographer.
Which is...
They're the light boxes.
Oh, the Papa Bear light boxes.
Oh, Papa Bear light boxes. So stage boxes, light up boxes, the ones that it's called an ego stand. So more or less, when you put them on the ground and you stand on them, they shine up the light from the ground. It's a lot of fun for lighting up musicians and getting those cool shots where it's lit up from the bottom up, so that way you get that shadow on the face, but you still get a nice, vibrant just outline of the person and what their chest looks like. The body shot's all there, but it's cool how it still leaves that kind of like edge of eeriness on the singers. It's funny how many bands actually do not like ego boxes because they are ego boxes, and they're like, oh, I'm not all about that. It's like, it's not about that. It's about looking good for your audience. So they're a lot of fun. I do want to thank Nathan for making those for me. God, I'm slipping the last name. Baker. Is it? No. Elder. There we go. I know too many Nathans. I apologize. But Nathan Elder, he made those for me just on a random whim and just called me up one day and said, hey, I made these. I didn't know the guy. I didn't know anything about him. He just made them and thought it was a really cool idea. And a huge shout out to him because we've actually become pretty close friends, and he's helped me out with a lot of the Papa Bear Industries kind of stuff. He helps book at the Parkade and do shows there as well. So that way we can get some free shows going on as well whenever we have bands that are coming through and just need a gig. And we set them up as free shows, but still pay the bands. So that way everybody can have a good time and they can have a good turnout. Small spot, but they support us, and he's a huge advocate of like looking towards styles that I don't normally get to look towards. So he looks more towards like the indie scene and the more straight rock scene, a little bit more of the punk scene, kind of to a degree. I like punk as well, so I try to pull that in as well. But no, he really does a good job of like pulling in a lot of that stuff, acoustics. He's really a good guy. So to Nate Elder, thank you so much for those stage boxes. Those things are awesome. Or egoizers, whatever you want to call them.
I call them fantastic.
I don't personally have one, a stage box for myself, but every venue that I go to that has one, you definitely believe I'm using it.
Oh yeah.
And honestly, I know of a few touring artists, usually bigger ones, who bring their own.
Yeah.
Though there's one local one here up in Seattle, Radvocate.
Oh, Radvocate? Yeah.
He has his own, and honestly, like I
think
love
he's
it.
technically Tacoma area, but he could be Seattle. I'm not positive on that.
It's roughly there.
Yeah.
But no, he has his own, and like he makes his own light shows with it. He does an awesome job.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
I love
like
seeing
them.
those things.
Even if they don't light up, I love to use the stage box because, like you said, it's not about an ego thing. It's putting on a good performance, making the photographer get a good shot, stuff like that.
Making your fans see you.
Yeah, totally.
It's giving it more flair.
Yep.
There's nothing worse than a band that can't get something that kind of, if their showmanship can't do it, then at least let your stage do it for you. And he's certainly one of those guys who's learned a way to find both of those. So mad shout out to Nate King.
Yep.
Yeah.
Another Nate.
Nate.
Like I said, I know way too many Nates. So Nathan King is he's a badass. Look up Radvocate. He's a total pimp. He's a straight blend of like hardcore metal and rap. I mean, the dude's insane. He's really, really good. Don't let the rap word deter you from anything. He's a phenomenal artist. He was in several metal bands, but then they broke up and he just couldn't make new projects work, and he got tired of waiting on others, so he decided to do his own spin on stuff, and he's taking names and kicking ass as far as I'm concerned.
Speaking of different bands, Trevor.
What?
What's that shirt you got on there, bud?
I am repping.
Hold up. Are you talking about who you reppin'?
Oh, yeah.
All right, folks. So here's a small segment we're going to do every show as well, too. It's called Who You Reppin'. Trevor, go ahead. Who you reppin' tonight?
I'm repping Ghost Heart out of Spokane, Washington. A bunch of good friends of mine and awesome dudes. If you like dudes who do things for the community and give back and just are awesome in general, this year they put out a long sleeve, kind of similar to this one. It's not bleached though, but all the proceeds of it go to the charity of their choice. I can't remember exactly where they're going this year, but they like to do stuff like that all the time, and they're some of the most heartfelt, genuine dudes I've met on the road in a long time.
Yeah, they do that charity setup every year around the holidays, and it is just fantastic when bands are willing to go out of their way to do that stuff. So they sell the merch, and all proceeds go toward it. The only proceeds that are kept is the shipping costs, so that way they can keep the shipping going without it costing them any money. But yeah, all the money goes into the donation funds that they're going for. So make sure you check out Ghost Heart, because those guys are super stallions.
Yeah, they just
what style of music are they? Just so people have a little more background.
I would say they're like melodic post-hardcore for sure. In their early years, I'm gonna throw this out there, they were a straight deathcore band, and you got to go check out Particle Throwers Part 1 and 2 because that song goes hard. Please ask them to play it live.
Fair enough. Another fun story about Ghost Heart as well is they actually did their Halloween show from 2019 Yes, because this was 2020, the horrid year.
Yeah.
So in 2019, they did a Halloween show, and they actually recorded it at one of the venues that I do shows at, the Tin Hat, and they made that a part of their Halloween music video that they did, and they released that this year. So if you haven't seen that, go check it out because it's a pretty dope video.
Also, they just released a new song. It's out everywhere. It's called Acid Wave.
Oh, yeah.
If you're into that like 2009 to 2011 post-hardcore, early metalcore vibe, go check that out. The song is freaking solid.
Oh, yeah, definitely. It is definitely a dope track. I was glad when they dropped that. That's only, what, a month old at most?
Not even. It came out on December 18th.
Yeah, so I mean, that thing's still fresh. It's
Yeah.
only a couple weeks
And
old.
it is a banging song.
Have you gotten to listen to it yet?
I have heard it.
I showed him a little bit
Yeah.
of it while we were
That's
out,
it.
but I don't think he's listened to the whole song.
No, not yet. I need to
fair
take
enough.
the time for it.
He needs his Dutch music.
Yeah, that's true.
All right, so Jan, who you repping?
Well, I'm going a little more mainstream today. I've got my Illstorm shirt on. It's the Pirate Pizza Party shirt that you got me for Christmas.
One of the dopest shirts.
It's an absolutely amazing shirt. I love the band. Amazing sense of humor. Unique style of music. It's that, accordion folky style of metal. They call it pirate metal.
It's pirate grog metal, dude.
Yeah, no,
just be straight about it.
Yeah.
Hurdy-gurdy.
If it doesn't involve ale and mead and fucking booty, I don't think it's a song by them. So
One of my favorite new songs recently has been Big Ship, Little Ship, because that shit gets stuck in your head.
I can
Yes,
imagine.
it does. Big
So-
ship, little ship, cardboard box.
So one of the things I like to do all the time is I like to give him a bad time and tell him that Ailstorm sucks. And he's always like, "What the hell?" And I just they're a great band. I don't want anyone to think that I
Honestly,
have anything against them.
The best part for me about Illstorm is that their live shows, instead of mosh pits, they have people just sitting down and rowing their boats. It's the best thing. It's
That's
just
awesome.
stupid.
The videos of it are insane.
They have
It's unique.
Yeah, they have a 10-foot inflatable rubber ducky that they throw into crowds and slash at the end of shows. It's they get just stupid wild. They have a ton of fun with it, and that's what I love seeing. Not just as a photographer, but just as a musician, as somebody who enjoys music. It just seeing bands have fun with it. I love that.
Oh yeah,
It's
all
like when
about
A Day to Remember does their toilet. Not that we can do it now because toilet paper's on a sort of shortage again. But it's like when A Day to Remember did their teepee parties. Like they just throw 30 rolls of toilet paper out, and everyone would go wild with it. Like,
Speaking of toilet paper, like
wild.
mad shout out to Steak Sauce Mustache and their toilet paper leaf blower gun.
yes.
yeah, that sounds fun too.
All right, so I am repping Knothead on my hat. Knothead is my homie. He is a phenomenal rapper. He usually does more of he's not a metal artist himself, but you can definitely tell he's got more of that hard edge to it. He's definitely more in the categories of like Tech Nine, Psychopathic Records, things of that nature.
ICP.
ICP, Twisted, stuff of that. That's all the Psychopathic family.
Yeah.
But he doesn't do it to an overboard sense of like I'm slashing throats and stuff like that. He's got more of a like pulled back kind of vibe to it, but his style is the kind of that style. So he's not talking about cutting up your mom or anything like that.
So
He's
it's not
actually
like Twisted Insane, but it's still in the same wheelhouse.
it's the musical style, not the lyrical style.
Okay.
I like his lyrical style a hell of a lot more.
Yes.
So
But
yeah,
it's
I
still-
put him more in the wheelhouse towards Tech Nine than I put him towards the wheelhouse of Psychopathic.
yeah, but it's still the horror core beat style.
It's just a hard
Yes and
edge
no.
vocal.
It's just
too.
hard edge. He's not. He's again. It's hard to explain if you don't know the differences between the two. But he's not Insane Clown Posse and Twisted. But he would definitely be playing on shows with someone like them.
Okay.
But at the same time too, he was also a Tech Nine. God, what was the term for that? He was the president of the street team that would deal with promoting all of Tech Nine shows when they would go to certain areas. So he was like in charge of putting all the beat down, getting all the tickets out there, the merchandising, making sure the promotions were out there, getting
like
people to help spread the word about it.
Legitimate street team.
Yeah, he was legitimate head of the street team for Tech Nine for quite a while.
that's cool.
Guy also puts on a hell of a live show.
Yes,
I
he
bet.
does.
I bet.
He's mostly inspired by bands like Pantera and stuff like that from like the heavier age, but he's just more into the rap flow of singing. So I mean, it's kind of like a mix between the two if you were to marry those together. I really like it a lot. And then the second one I'm repping is Farewell, which I don't know where they're from. I feel bad for saying that. But the kids played at my venue one time with No Home on their tour, and Everybody was super stoked about No Home, and Farewell got on stage and performed last, and I was like, holy hell, everyone needs to get stoked on Farewell.
I forgot I played that show.
Yeah, dude, those kids, what would you describe their style?
Hardcore.
It's just hardcore?
Just straight hardcore. Like original hardcore.
Okay. Yeah, it's I think he's got a little bit of like rap flows every once in a while, but it's not overly done or anything like that.
If I had to genre it like in my honest like thought process with it, I would put in you hardcore because of his vocal style.
Okay. But yeah, no, the kids in Farewell were friggin' phenomenal. Their drummer was actually just one of the greatest I liked watching because he was just having fun, staring at everybody, getting up, doing stuff, having a good time. And when they got off stage, they were like, oh man, what'd you guys think of the show? And I was just like, dude, you guys stole it. Like straight up stole that show.
Shout out to their guitarist for taking photos of No Room for Cowards.
Yeah, because you played with No Room for Cowards that night. That's right. Yeah, you filled in on drums.
Well, that was the first show I played with them as their official drummer.
Oh, that's right. You officially joined in.
Yep.
But yeah, no, Farewell and Knothead, check them out. They're phenomenal bands. So this first episode, obviously, this is kind of just our first rundown, giving you a small taste of what we're going to be going for. Honestly, I'm going to tell you, this is probably one of the more mellow, dare I say, lamer episodes, just because we're just introducing ourselves.
We are really lame.
We are really lame.
We don't do much.
Well, I mean, we go to bed at like freaking 6:30, so there's that.
Yeah, but we also wake up at 3 a.m.
to go to work. I'm fully aware.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
He works from home. He just sits at home and says, I work from home while playing Smash Bros. All friggin' day.
Hey, it's not wrong.
It's true.
100%.
What's that, sir? Yeah, I can get that done. Ultra Smash! But yeah, no, so this is kind of just the basic rundown entry point for this. From here, we're going to start getting into topics. We're going to start teaching you guys things that I've learned over the years, that both of these guys have learned over the years. We're just going to kind of just go from it from this point. We're going to pick different topics. We're going to go from there. Starting off, we're just doing this as YouTube based. The goal is to get this onto podcasts everywhere. The goal is to get this moving forward, but we kind of wanted to touch the waters first and see what people think and how they respond to all this. But more or less, this is what we're about. We're going to be sitting down. We're going to be goofing. We're going to be joking. We're going to be talking about stuff, and we're going to be having a good time. Right now, this episode's running at about 30 minutes. There is not going to be a time frame when it comes to this stuff. When we have a topic, we are going to talk about it until we are done with it. If that means that it took 20 minutes, we're going to take 20 minutes.
Let's be real. We all ramble.
We do. But when you're having genuine conversations, that's not rambling. At that point, it's like, I want us to have those genuine conversations without the fear of a time limit put on us.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's nothing more that I hate than when you're in a podcast and they're going. It's like, yeah, this is a great convo. It's like, and next time we'll be back. You know, it's like, no, keep going. This was such a great topic.
Another thing that I don't want to get lost in the podcast is like our personalities too. Because I feel like when some podcasts I listen to, they're like super serious, stern. No, we're going to have fun. It's going to be a good time.
Oh, yeah. No, if we can't laugh and joke and have a good time, why are we doing it?
Yeah.
I mean, that's why there's beer that I just spilled on my leg. Why, koozie? Why did you let me down? I have a bear koozie on my can and it's not sitting flush, so it just spilled all over my leg.
Too,
I'm just gonna hold it now.
Yeah, you're gonna leave the wet spot on your pants too.
Yes, I am gonna leave the wet spot on my
gonna
pants.
be
dude, it actually kind of looks like a bear paw from this angle.
It was meant to be.
We are so on brand right now.
Yeah. But anyway, guys, thank you for checking out the first episode of BPMs. And just keep an eye out because we're also going to be doing fun little like videos in between sessions. The goal right now is to do one a week with this stuff, just because we pretty much all have the Friday, Saturday, Sundays to kind of do what we need to do. That being said, though, if we decide to do 2 a week, we're going to do 2 a week. We haven't found our set format yet, but the goal is to hopefully try to release a new episode to you guys every Saturday. If we can't do it, so be it. We're kind of just working all of this out. Yeah. Obviously, we're using cameras that aren't right up on us. We're not that high end yet. We've really been focusing more on the audio aspect of this, but we wanted to get video involved as well. So you will see that improve and upgrade over the time. there will be actual segments that we actually do. We were just kind of feeling it out with episode 1. Yep. So give us time. We've been writing down tons and tons of ideas and notes. Another thing too is that we do have the ability to take phone calls from other artists and people in the industry. So you will be seeing us doing interviews and having fun with stuff of that nature. You will be seeing us doing things where we're going to be having more stuff that's like repping bands merch, things of that nature. If you are an artist that would like to be a part of this stuff, please feel free to email me or message me on papabeargigs@hotmail.com, or just go to Papa Bear and Associates on Facebook and find me there.
Are you Hotmail?
Yes, I am Hotmail.
Oh, wow.
No, I have not. I have not switched. I am Hotmail.
Wow.
Everything I do is Hotmail.
I love it.
Yes, I'm old school.
You're vintage.
I'm older than
vintage.
you.
Another thing I want to add to that is if there's something that we could do to improve on, let us know.
Give us absolutely.
Feedback. Let us know if we bore you to death. Let us know if you love us.
If we bored them to death, like, wouldn't they be sending us a message from that? Actually, send us that message. I want to hear that.
But more or less, anything that you think that we can do, if there's any artists you want us to reach out to as well and try to have a conversation with, obviously I'm not going to be reaching out to like As I Lay Dying or anything like that. This show is more aimed at the underground scene. This is not aimed at the mainstreamers. This is not aimed at that stuff. Doesn't mean we don't love that stuff. It just means that we just want to make this more about what our wheelhouse is.
Maybe we can be the one platform that wants to talk to Trapped.
Please don't ever
stop.
say that again.
Yeah.
That was a joke, and it was sarcasm.
We don't support Trapped in this household.
Oh, Jesus almighty.
What a way.
But anyway, folks, with that being said, thank you for joining us today at BPMs. This was episode 1, and we cannot thank you enough for taking the time out of your day to give us a listen. Goodbye.
Bye. Peace.
Papa Bear and Associates does not take any responsibility for sexual complications while listening to this program. Side effects have been known to include sweating, extended and unexpected erections, perked nipples, butt clenching, inflammation of the testicles, and anal seepage. Furthermore, if you are experiencing any of these symptoms, you should make sure to send us your non-graphic pictures for our viewing pleasure. Thank you and much love.